Let us begin with the rail strike. Grant Shapps, Secretary of State for Transport, is not getting involved at all. He is not talking to anybody except the media about how awful Labour is. It's a little bit like... What is it a little bit like? It's a little bit like Liverpool getting thumped in the Champions League final and trying to blame it all on Manchester United. It's actually surreal, this abnegation of responsibility now. And I truly wish that it were confined to just one area, which we will be talking about a little later this hour, if I ever get to the end of this introduction, which, quite frankly, at the moment is debatable. So we'll begin with a rail strike, a national rail strike that is unfolding under a Conservative government. What responsibility does the Conservative government have for tomorrow's national rail strike? Wasn't me. And now we'll move on to the Rwanda plan, shall we? So the Conservative government comes up with a plan to deport refugees to Rwanda. It falls apart like the cheapest of suits, as anybody informed or expert in the field told them that it would do. It's embarrassed Rwanda. It's embarrassed the United Kingdom. It's embarrassed, you'd imagine, the Home Office. It's turned us into an international laughingstock. And, of course, it has done absolutely nothing to deter people if you are perturbed by desperate people trying to cross the channel in flimsy dinghies. And if you are, I got no particular beef with you because, my God, they've put a lot of effort and energy into trying to make you terrified of these poor souls, haven't they? But whose fault is that? So they try and the Conservative government introduces a Conservative policy in a government with an, elected upon an 80-seat majority. They get it through Parliament. They bring it in. It falls apart in spectacular fashion. Is it the fault of the Conservative government? Wasn't me. OK, what else have we got? How about the economy? Let's have a little look at the economy. Predicted by the OECD to be the 19th worst performing economy out of 20 in 2023. The only economy below us would be Russia. What do the United Kingdom and Russia have in common with each other? They are both currently suffering from economic sanctions. The key difference being that the economic sanctions in Russia were introduced by other countries, and the economic sanctions in the United Kingdom were introduced by the government of the United Kingdom. So what does the economic situation in the United Kingdom currently have to do with the government of the United Kingdom? Wasn't me. And then turn our attention to the airport, where I was passing through yesterday. Absolutely astonishing scenes at Terminal 2 at Heathrow. Carpets of unclaimed baggage. Baggage to the left of me, baggage to the right of me. Like the charge of the baggage brigade. Every single major airline head queuing up to explain that this is a consequence of the abolition of freedom of movement. This is directly, in large part, attributable to Brexit. For any idiots at the back, not entirely attributable to Brexit, because there are also queues in Dublin and some other countries. But if the heads of the airlines, when asked about problems being faced by airlines, tell you that the problems include Brexit, what is a government that brought in Brexit, got elected on the back of Brexit and promised that Brexit was going to be brilliant, do when it comes to taking responsibility for chaos in the travel industry? Wasn't me. I'm going to run out of breath before I get to 10:15 this morning. Where else are you going to turn? Should we have a look at labour shortages? Should we have a look at the fact that for the very first time in recorded history, this country currently has more people, more vacancies in the job market than it has people registered unemployed? That is an astonishing situation in which to find yourself. It is why there are fears growing over a lack of qualified teachers. It's why the hospitality sector is on its knees and begging for help and support. It's why airlines have now invoked an EU loophole in order to get crews in the air who are registered in other countries. We'll be talking about that a little later in the programme. It's why farming is having an absolute nightmare. Fruit and vegetables are rotting in fields. The veterinary sector is still struggling to make up huge shortfalls in labour after particularly Spanish vets hit the road and headed home because you told them to. And this is, of course, still a major policy and a major platform and a major achievement of the current Brexit government. So what do the massive labour shortages have to do with the government that boasts about abolishing freedom of movement of labour? Answer: wasn't me. And then finally, well, not finally, I could do this all day. I could literally open any newspaper and find any story and ask you why nobody thinks it's actually the responsibility of the people in charge of the country that this thing that's happening in the country is happening in the country at this time. But we'll end with a prediction that I was not expecting to come true in such a spectacular and, yes, hilarious fashion. I can't remember when I first started telling you that you'd know things were really going badly when they started trying to blame how badly it was going on all the people who told you how badly it was going to go. Do you remember that? It wasn't quite a catchphrase, but it was certainly something of a stuck record for me. You'll know when they start trying to blame it all on people who predicted precisely what would happen, that they are pretty close to giving up the ghost. And this weekend, I don't know if you saw it, a ludicrous think tank, a truly ludicrous think tank. And we have think tanks in this country that have redefined the boundaries of ludicrousness. My particular favourite, probably the one that complained to Ofcom about me for calling them all a bunch of Herberts and was sent away with a flea in their enormous Herbert-shaped ear. But this one, the Centre for Brexit Policy, a think tank, it says here, led by prominent Brexiteers, argues today that the UK's, quotes, ruling elites, end quotes, are preventing the country from fulfilling its potential. This is almost breathtaking in its bovine stupidity. Why is that thing going really, really badly? Oh, it's going really, really badly because of all the people that warned it would go really, really badly, who have no power at all. We have an 80-seat majority in the House of Commons. We promised that Brexit would be brilliant. We swore blind that we would get it done. We also promised that there'd be no border in the Irish Sea and people would be better off and food would be cheaper and the cost of living would come down and lots of other things that have come categorically and incontrovertibly untrue. But why is it all going so badly? Answer, because of that lot over there who have no agency and who lost the argument and who persist in being proved right about everything. Down with them. So what does the continuing catastrophe of Brexit, not according to me and all my Ramona mates, but according to, let's get this right, according to the Centre for Brexit Policy, a think tank led by prominent Brexiteers, what does the failure of Brexit have to do with Boris Johnson's Brexit government?
Wasn't me.
It's 12 minutes after 10 and we're going to talk about rail strikes. Let's just listen to a slightly longer bit because it's such a lovely tune.
You saw the marks on my shoulder.